Hey art friends! I wanted to share a video of advice that I would give to my younger self about my art career. So here we go. Surround yourself with other creative people. They're going to understand the things that you're going through better than anybody else is. They're going to inspire you to do cool things because you're going to see them doing cool things, and that effect is just going to multiply on itself. They're going to maybe have creative solutions to problems that you're having that you wouldn't have thought of. Get involved with any creative events in your community, volunteer, and even if you live in the middle of the woods, you can go online. You can find creative people who are doing things that you like and doing things that you want to do online. Backwards plan and write out your goals. Being busy is not the same as doing important work. A lot of times I would fill my days doing things that were really easy. These little tasks were safe, they didn't push me outside of my comfort zone, but they didn't get me to my bigger goals. Backwards planning is figuring out your big goal and breaking it into tiny little steps, and then breaking it down into even smaller steps for each of those steps, and then scheduling it out week by week, day by day. They say that a lack of motivation is oftentimes a lack of knowing specifically what to do, having too ambiguous of a job to do, or not knowing exactly what the next step is. And breaking your goals down into these little steps helps so much. If you don't want to backwards plan it out, at least write down your goals every single day. Writing it down helps you remember what is the most important thing that I should be focusing on, so that you're not distracted by all the little to-dos that can just sort of sneak in there. Even if it's really intimidating, just do one thing every day that's going to get you closer to your goal, even if it's a tiny thing. You need to prove that you can do the work. Nobody's going to believe the potential that you can see in yourself. And especially early on, even if they can see the potential, they're not likely to want to take a risk on somebody that they haven't seen do the actual work. You want to make specific work with specific companies or a specific end use in mind. So if you make art that's too general, you're making it for nobody, and nobody is going to want it. So I used to just make art that I like to make and then send it to greeting card companies, which is kind of a huge waste of time because greeting cards are sent for specific occasions. So just because my art is pretty doesn't mean that it's right for a greeting card company. So what I needed to be doing was making birthday cards and making Christmas cards. Just because I could make cute art doesn't mean that it was right for the people who were going to buy it, for the people who I wanted to buy it. Be wise with your time. Always working isn't going to make you more successful. Not taking weekends, not taking vacations, not taking lunch breaks, these things aren't going to make you more productive. Taking care of yourself by exercising and eating right and socializing with other human beings in real life is going to make you a happier, healthier human being, and you're going to be more productive with less time. I find that actually limiting your time will make you more productive. You will have this limited amount of time and you will do the best that you can do and move on to the next thing. I have a tendency to over-research things, so I'll spend a lot of time on research instead of actual time doing the work. Looking at YouTube or looking at other artists' artwork or researching how to draw something. If I took that research time, cut it in half, I would spend so much more time working on the actual thing that I'm doing. If you've ever done life drawing, when they time you and you finally get to the point where you're doing like 20-minute drawings and you're like, oh my gosh, how did I only get this tiny little bit of drawing done in 20 minutes? Think about that. All of that time I spent researching, I could have spent 20 minutes working on a piece of artwork, or even 2 hours. If you've ever taken a college course and you had to paint for 2 hours in your studio class, and then you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I only got this much done in 2 hours. Yeah, I've definitely spent more than 2 hours researching a single project. So be wise with your time. You are planting seeds. A lot of the work that I was doing 5-6 years ago wouldn't be realized until much later on. I'd be reaching out to art directors that I didn't know if they were paying attention to me or not, but they would buy from me later on. Even when I did start getting jobs, it didn't mean that I was getting money right away. I was planting seeds for my future self. All this to say that your marketing efforts and all of the work that you're putting in now is working. It just takes time for these things to grow. So don't give up just because you don't see an immediate reaction or immediate effect. Everything that you're doing is working. You just need to keep doing it and getting better at it. But all of the efforts that you're putting in right now do count for something. You don't know what could happen tomorrow or next month or next year. Farming is very hard work, but it is possible. And that's one thing that I wish that I had really known, was that it's possible. I didn't have examples of people that I knew who were making a living doing art. But as I grew, as I exposed myself to other creative people, I met people who were making a full-time living at it. And I started to see the things that they were doing and how they approached their work. And that was so influential to me. So yes, you can do it. It's gonna take time. It's gonna take a lot of work, but it's not impossible.